What up, what up? It's your boy, Mr. B-EAZY 215, No Easy Outlet, the podcast. And we back. What's the fact we gonna chew on today? Eagles Nation, we gotta talk about these reports, the Jalen Hurts reports, the uncomfortable conversations that don't nobody wanna have. I mean, some of these reports, they seem minuscule to me about guys hanging out and stuff, but we know that part come with the game. That's what you got to do. But these are similar reports that we've heard before, and I'm sure I've touched on it before. My thing about it is, as fans, just because we like a guy and then we don't like a guy, I feel like we put too much feeling into all of that. Like, just, can we use the same measuring cup for the situation? Take the feelings for the person out of it. Like, if somebody steals from your house, do it matter if they family or a stranger to a degree and the level you handle it with, but you just as mad, right? I'm just saying, can we use the same measuring cup when we judging these situations? Now, we ain't, just because we like Jalen Hurts, we know he the guy. He's obviously not going nowhere. I get it. To each his own to judge the characters versus the characters, because to be honest, if you want to be honest, and I know nobody want to be honest and talk about this situation, I've listened to WIP and a lot of things about these reports and stuff, and I hear a lot of, I don't want to say excuses, but it's excuses. True or not with the reports, but the rationality that we are coming up for the possibility of the report. Now, I ain't saying they're excuses, but they sound excuse-ish, if I could say so. I'm hearing guys saying Jalen is only like 24, 25. He's young. He's learning how to grow into these responsibilities. I get that. That's every quarterback. What I didn't hear was none of that when we was using the measuring cup for another guy who, unlike Hurts, who we love, he didn't have 12 to 13 games to sit down, watch, learn, absorb the speed of the NFL or learn anything. He became a day one starter. And I'm just saying. So he got thrust right into it as a young kid from day one with no chance to sit and learn. We didn't take that into account. Having success and then suffering an injury and seeing somebody else carry on the success you had, being a young kid, being dubbed the guy from day one just the year before after sending away Sam Bradford. You know what I mean? We didn't take into account that he was young and he just came into this money and he got different people pulling him from different directions and these newfound obligations with being a starting quarterback and coming into money. Because he was a first round pick, so that came with some money and responsibilities, and being a day one starter right out the gate with no time to get no red shirt and of sitting learning behind a vet. You just was the guy from day one. I'm just saying the measuring cup needs to be the same. Judge the reports how we want to, take into the fact whether you like the guy or don't, but to just think that because you like a guy, everything is false, and because you hate a guy, everything is true. It's just crazy to me. And to take a guy's age and his life and what the changes is doing to him into effect, and then not take those same kind of things into effect for another guy with the same type of situation, age bracket, talent, expectations, a change, the organizational pressures. Like, I'm just saying, can we use the same measuring cup when we judging these reports? Not that they gotta be true in either case, but the fact that we like a guy makes them all false, and the fact that we soured on a guy makes everything ever said about him true. I'm just saying, can we use that same measuring cup? Not judging the guys bringing up or comparing the guys. I'm just talking about the situations, the similarities, and the reports. I feel like the feelings is swaying the public in how we think and view these reports. The reports are almost the same, whether you like them or don't like them. Can we use the same measuring cup? That's all I'm saying. And I like Hurts. I know he's going to be the guy. And if there's a guy I think can change from this year to improve to the next year, it's him. And I believe this team and everything will go as far as he go. But I think don't nobody want to talk about the A.J. Brown-Hurts relationship situation. I think I spoke on this before. We all good and cool when we hanging out, kumbaya, and we meeting at the club, we going out. But when we say we going to live together, split bills together, handle these responsibilities together, you find out about a person. Maybe it ain't the same. I mean, why wasn't he at the game? Why was he at a fight instead? Why hasn't he reactivated his Twitter and put it up and put his Eagles stuff back up? I mean, these is all questions we asking. And lastly but not least, before I get up out of here, I ain't officially heard Brian Johnson has been fired. I hear all these reports, the Eagles more than likely to move on. It's a foregone conclusion. I saw a report on Twitter that said coaches in-house feel some type of way about moving on from Brian Johnson. Well, listen, it's been a couple of days, weeks, days since the playoffs, and people have convinced me and talked me into the possibility of getting behind Nick Sirianni coming back. But I keep saying for every reason Nick Sirianni should come back is the reason Brian Johnson should come back. And I kind of feel like they married at the hip. I feel like Nick Sirianni needs Brian Johnson to come back, and he needs him to be successful to justify Nick's coaching. Brian is under Nick. If you bring another coach in from another system, or Frank Wright or one of these other guys, what is Nick? Or he come from another tree, Nick don't get credit for that. Nick can get credit for Brian. Brian ain't never done this before, so Nick needs Brian to be successful to justify his coaching. So I feel like for every reason to bring Nick back is the same reason to bring Brian back, including the relationship with him and Hurts, and for all the leadership and the way we feel like Hurts and the AJ relationship and relationships matter to Hurts. If he's not going to use his voice and his autonomy in the room, the same one that got the Eagles to trade for A.J. Brown, hand him $100 million and give Hurts $255. If he can't use that same autonomy and voice to clearly not get blitz packages put in, but to speak up for Brian Johnson, the man who his family played for his dad, coached him, came to the NFL with him as a quarterback coach on his most successful year. If everybody giving Nick that Super Bowl year, so he deserved to fix it. Brian was the quarterback's coach for that successful year Hurts had. You know what I mean? I just feel like if, they're kind of married, you need him to be successful to justify Nick and the relationship where Hurts and Brian is what everybody said made Hurts who he is. So that's where I'm at with it. But that's just a little bit. It's your boy, Mr. B-EAZY215, No Easy Outlet, the podcast. That's a little bit of the fat we chewing on as we continue to go through this off season. I'm waiting on the Brian Johnson news because I haven't seen the Eagles officially say it. I see all these, but I saw the Eagles officially decide, and officially let Matt go. I have not officially seen the Brian thing. If y'all have, let me know, but I ain't seen it yet. And I'm looking. I'm on Brian Johnson watch. But I feel like they married to this thing, and he needs Brian to be successful to justify him coaching Nick.